Hi there. I was re-watching a video by Max Keiser, and really I already commented on this video saying that he's a bit lost together with Mr. Kunstler. But here's a quote that I think completely turns it around. Or he simply doesn't yet acknowledge the oil credit system. And the way I suspect that the reason why he's talking about it might be partly because I've been commenting on his blog, and of course, but still, you know, the question that he asks and the answer that's given is still trying to hide the fact that it's the other way around. Money is created in order to distribute the oil, and not, as he is saying, money is created to finance oil exploration. No, without oil there would not be any reason for the existence of the money. There would be nothing you could do with it because nothing would move. But here's the quote.
An interesting point here, in that the reason for this capital to be loaned into existence for decades has been to finance and to underwrite the global energy business, which is probably, if not the biggest business in the world, certainly close to being the biggest business in the world globally. And now that you have these resource constraints, and I just read somewhere that something like 56 countries, oil-producing countries, are now in decline, so you can make the case that the entire globe is in decline in terms of output of oil. You also have this phenomenon of shrinking capital. So are these two coterminous? Are they tied at the hip? When you hit peak oil, as it's called, do you also hit peak capital? Or are they connected? Can you explain that a little bit?
I think it's self-evident that they're connected. And, you know, what we're seeing are very large chains of consequence and feedback loops of systems that are tied together. The energy system, you know, represents the primary resource for an industrial economy, and it allows the other systems that we depend on to work, including our systems for doing commerce, our systems for doing agriculture. And remember, one of the main inputs for agriculture now, for the form of industrial agriculture that we practice, is capital.
I think he still skirts around the issue, and I think that's what I found weird about this interview, because they're not calling it by the name, because of course, you know, the money is loaned into existence out of thin air, everybody knows that, and then suddenly there's somebody on the other side that's able or willing to hand over the fertilizer, which is made with gas or the oil or the gasoline or whatever for that. And I think that I found the paralyzing misconception in the current system, which the reason why there is no action taken, and that is that people are used to associating capital with action, with things happening. So you get money and things start happening. That is because most of the things that really happen are powered by fossil fuels, and that the capital system is the fossil fuel distribution system. And that's why there's no debt and all that stuff. So I would say that the separation that people have to make in their minds is to recognize that they are capital. Because after you have been able to buy oil from one individual, which set a whole amount of things moving, the money has also been used in order to make people believe that they are being rewarded for what they are doing. So it makes people cooperate. And so let's say, yeah, well, you have a taxi that uses gasoline, you need a taxi driver, you need to pay him a wage. Otherwise he doesn't show up, he doesn't drive the taxi. And that's what money also does. But the fact that that effect of money on people is derived from the intrinsic ability to get the impersonal action going, which is the gasoline and the oil and the gas and the etc. driven action. So basically, because there are machines doing the work without any objection, as long as you put gasoline in it, and that really serves people. And these machines are all fed by the capital created by the banks, which allows them to distribute energy towards these machines. the people are also basically tricked into believing that they should always move for that money. But the decision that you can make is to no longer move for that money. That's the key. The decision you can make is that you recognize money as a cooperation request. This is a request to cooperate. Dollar bill, please cooperate in the system that is trying to destroy you. If you want to, let's say it in the extreme, but it is, of course, because the fossil-based system that it is actually an ambassador of is destroying your country with fracking and all that other stuff. Kunstler and Max Keiser are talking about that too. It's really deplorable. It's an ambassador. Money is basically a representative of the system, and it asks you to cooperate. If you don't like the system, then don't cooperate. And I think a long time ago I explained it also, that you really have to reject money. But there's an alternative. It's very easy. Create your own money. Create a different type of money. And I've talked about that before also, which is the, let's say, the real carbon credit. That's a money, that's a dollar, that's or some kind of money certificate that can only be used to buy renewables. And so you get your productivity based on renewables, and then you get labor. That's the two things you can purchase with that. Or the results of renewables and the results of labor. So you might buy hydrogen, which is made with solar panels, or you might buy a loaf of bread, which is made by labor or milling with solar panels or with wind. But you basically separate those two economies, the fossil-based credit and the renewable-based credit. And if you do that, the renewable-based credit will explode, and it will be very democratic, and everybody will be able to trust it, trust the money. Now you have to trust a certificate of cooperation or request of cooperation that is destroying you. So you have to make a choice, and that's the whole notion of capital. Because capital, if you talk about capital and investment, you, let's say, I think psychologically you associate that with, will people cooperate? Will I have allies? Will I be supported? That's actually what it communicates to you. And you should recognize that that's the case. Like if Goldman Sachs comes over and says, well, I'll give you $100 million of capital, that can only mean they have only a real control over 100 million gallons worth of gallons of oil to be put in machines, to do the work without any objection, without any opinion, without any influence on what it is they're doing. So you can have a huge lawnmower that mows down everything that's alive in the US. The machine won't object to it as long as it's filled with gasoline. And the banks have this robotic system, basically, under their control. I've actually recently started a thread because I think that the new economics we need should be called robo-economics, because it has to incorporate the effect of mindless machines doing the work as long as they're fed energy. It's a very dangerous thing. It's just an extension of an AK-47 in every other different shape. It's an airplane. It's a container ship. It is a harvesting machine. It is a shredder. It is an incineration plant. These are all machines. They do the work, and nobody cares as long, as long as this trick of this cooperation certificate or this ambassador that these banks are handing out is working. And to finish it, so you have to make a choice. You have to say, well, I will not comply, or I will not demand, I will not want to be part of that system. And I can only stop being part of that system if I reject the certificate or the contract that is given to me, which makes me part of the system, which is the dollar or the euro, for that matter. It's the same thing, and it's I think a battle, and you can even put it in an evolutionary perspective. But if you get ubiquitous drones and monitoring and biometrics, then and you get the renewables under the control of the fossil industry, which is now seems to be going to happen, because there's lots of fossil companies that suddenly are buying solar panels. I was quite happy about that, but it shouldn't be that they are under control of it. Then you know that there is people that can order machines in order to do whatever they want, and that will control your life. You will be a slave. You're already a slave because you're already working with the expectation of the assistance of bank powered, fossil fuel powered machines in your environment. Which means that everything you do for money is actually done to feed those machines the fossil fuels that they need. And in order to be able to do that, you need the banks. So if the banks achieve a situation in which machines monitor your every move, your motivation, your whatever you leave behind on Facebook, and I'm someone that does that as well, then you will have no way to escape their control, because you know it takes a really small intervention at a really detailed level. Many times it's much easier than to make a big intervention against a real movement. But the capital banks are talking about is human capital. It is us. It is you and me. And if you don't want to be part of the destruction machine that they are managing, that they are controlling at the moment, then you have to reject their basic contract of cooperation. And you have to recognize that the only thing you need to do in order to defeat that is to cooperate. A strike is a very simple form of cooperation. You stop working all at the same time. That's cooperation. That's the key. And of course you can, you know, start the renewable-based money kind that extends credit based on the future delivery of renewable energy for production. And you keep that out of the hand of banks, but of course because of the distributed nature of renewables, there's a low risk of concentration of power, so there's a low risk of the existence of banks. Of course, there's always aggressive people that go into that realm and try to create that. But if you create that, you can have a counterweight to current banking system. And this is really an opportunity, I think, at the moment, because the oil spigot, the oil production is being reduced, and these banks are weak, very weak. So if you all cooperate and strike in terms of the use of one bank or another, they will immediately die. If you all cooperate in order to amass and group yourself in front of one of the bank and simply gut it from the equipment that's in there, don't hurt the people, it will be gone. It will be over with that office. If you simply don't respect the contracts that they have given you, or you don't accept the contract that they are handing you, which they call capital, which is the dollar, which is a representative of the robotic system that is more powerful than you, well, if you don't want to submit yourself, you simply don't acknowledge it. And of course it's not easy, but if you cooperate, it becomes really, really easy. So I think that's why the title of this video, I think, should be humans are the only capital, and banks don't own humans. I hope this is interesting.